We've come here peacefully to put a point across, right? And we've been met with aggression, with hatred, with racial taunts. Some of the stuff that I've heard has been sitting in. My daughter was supposed to come here today, and she wanted to because it means a lot to her as well growing up. And having mixed race friends, black friends, white friends, she goes to school, it's multicultural, and some of the things she's seen has really upset her. But I told my daughter not to come here.
Well, what do you consider the dangers of an increasing coloured population?
Well, there are many immediate evils of the coloured invasion, which are well known to everybody living in this area. But in our opinion, the most important is the long-term one of mass interbreeding.
But that was it, you know, and throughout that course of there, racism was normal, so it didn't. Racism was just there. It was like bread and butter.
So it wasn't racism at the time. It was just normality.
Yeah. So racism wasn't. It was just normal. It was normal to be called a nigger or black or this or that.
You haven't got the intellect. Of course he does. He's a Sambo. He's got a Sambo stomach. I'm white. I've got a good white British stomach.
We had to be. I was a cock of the year. I was a cock of the school when I was a third year, you know, because of the reputation that we have to have. But going back to our teacher used to have a slipper, and we used to get the cane and slipper, and the slipper was called Nignog. Written on the back of his slipper was the word Nignog, and he would say, if anybody is going to get in trouble, Nignog will sort you out, referring to his slipper. And that seemed normal. It wasn't, you know, he didn't pick on anybody. If you were naughty, you would get nignog, and that was it.
I mean, if that was today, the first thing on your mind is, right, well, we're going to get him sorted. I'm going to report it to blah blah blah. But in them days, it was like
no, the teacher was excellent. He taught me so much, and it was just he was in trouble. And the word at the time, it was. And if I can jump you back to today, I can jump you back to now. My kids will never see racism. Sorry, I'll rephrase that. My grandkids will never know racism because my grandkids are white. All my grandkids are completely white. Right. I've got one grandkid that is mixed race, and all my other ones are as white as snow. They could walk in there, you would never know they were mixed race. So my grandkids will never experience racism.
No, especially at that level as well.
Well, they won't, because you'll never know they were black or green or white. They were the same as white kids.
Yeah.
So the level of racism now is different to what racism was then. Racism was real. You knew that certain people were racist and you knew certain people weren't, and it was simple as that.
Now listen, we've got our coloured clothes, we don't want any more blacks.
You can't count him, he's British, he was born in London. Look, he's not black, well, only in colour.
Well, that's how we tell him, isn't it? By the colour, I mean, that's all we've got to go on.
All right, I know he looks black.
Well, he's black enough for me.
I wouldn't say it was sarcasm. I'd say it's become more subtle.
More subtle.
It's become more discreet.
Right.
Even to such a thing as, can I touch your hair? Yeah. That is sort of micro form, and you might not even think that that's racism.
Yeah,
but I would never ask you to touch. Can I touch your hair?
That's like saying to a guy in a wheelchair, "Would you like me to call you autistic?" And he said, "No, call me Jim because that's your name."
So it's those aspects of racism that are now more prominent than
one of as well. We probably didn't realise at the time, well, I didn't realise at the time, that people was saying racist remarks to me because. Or stuff like, oh, you mixed race, but you act white.
Yeah.
Well, half my family's white, so of course, and I feel like I've been more brought up in a white society.
Yeah.
So there is more white than black in me, but that's just because half my family is white.
And when my mum and dad, my mum's white, my dad's black. My mum experienced a lot of hostility for being a white woman who was with a black man.
They probably still would now.
But not to the same extent.
No, definitely not.
You see so
even
many
my granddad obviously is black. He came here for the war, so he came here to fight for this country when he was younger. And then my nana is white, so my nana and granddad had 5 children together, who was obviously mixed race. Mm-hmm. And the torture my nan faced on a daily basis just from walking down the street, not even with my granddad, just by having 5 mixed race children back in them days, the looks, the torture, the name calling. And this is a white woman, but just because she had children who were mixed race, she got tormented for that.
Yeah. And those are the changes.
Which I think is crazy.
Of course, but those are the changes that, because that now is so alien to us.
Yeah.
But that was what? How many? 60? 50 years ago?
Yeah.
There was no hiding it, and I never really remembered that until you've just brought that back to me. If somebody didn't like you, they weren't subtle about it. They weren't trying to go around the houses to tell you, and you'd know. You know exactly where you stood with them.
The reasons I support the Black Lives Matter movement are because it's highlighting and educating a lot of people on what is okay and what isn't okay, what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. And I think what the movement has done, it's opened a lot of people's eyes to what's really going on and to some of the experiences of black and mixed race people in this country.
Yeah.
I, not long ago, shared with people about half-caste, and growing up, I was known as the half-caste lad in my year. I played football, teams would know me as, the half-caste lad
my lads
on
had
the field.
that. Yeah.
But half-caste is a really derogatory racist term.
Yeah.
The Black Lives Matter movement has allowed me to educate, educate people to be educated on that's not okay.
Yeah.
So now people won't say it.
No, they're thinking about it.
Yeah.
Awareness.
But exactly. So that's why I support the Black Lives Matter movement, is because it's opened a lot of people's eyes to what's really going on.
Yeah.
You know, all my kids are mixed race, and mixed race kids are the most deprived, underestimated group because black people hate them. White people hate them, and all my kids are mixed race, and I love my kids so much. Mixed kids are the most underestimated, tolerated group because, you know, you've got mothers. I know now this is true. I know mothers that hate their kids because they look like their dad. They don't hate them, but they resent them because that daughter reminds them of the times that they used to be with their dad.
Yeah.
And the same thing, and then you've got their partners who hate that kid because that kid is a constant reminder of when his wife used to go out with a black man. It's a constant reminder that my wife, 25 years ago, went with a black man, and I'm racist. I'm a member of the National Front, but that kid reminds me of when my wife went with a black man. That's real. That is 100% real. That undermining feeling is there. They're not going to express it, they're not going to show it, but there's nothing worse than what plays in your mind. The mind is the most powerful thing in the world, and that shit what goes around in your mind constantly, and you can't vent it, it's there. You're a counsellor, you know it works. That stuff is in your mind, playing, to the point where you can't do nothing. What's worse, you can't do nothing about it. You can't change that kid's colour. It's constantly there, 24/7, 7 days a week.
To be honest, I just don't want people to look at somebody and think that...
Is it as simple as saying you want to be treated equally, or that's a cliche?
It's basically, we just want basic human rights. We just want to be treated and respected the same way that every single other person is who's white.
Yeah.
I know it's baffling. Honestly, I don't understand. I
For
really
me,
don't understand.
it's like I said, it's equality, and I think the problem with Black Lives Matter is that people hear Black Lives Matter and say, well, say if I was you, well, I'm not black, but my life matters. That's not what people are saying.
Black lives has always mattered.
Black lives matter too. That's all that's being said. They matter as well. They also matter.
Right.
The thing you must realise now, if we talk about 2020, right now, Charlie can get deported tomorrow morning to Jamaica. 100%. I may not believe this, but
No, I do.
Because of the Begum issue, his parents are from Jamaica.
Yep.
So technically, he can be deported tomorrow. If he got in trouble for a sentence, after his sentence, without question, without anything, he can now get deported.
It's happened, Donald.
To his motherland.
Yeah.
Now, how does that work? How is that not? How does that work? So that is law. The other thing I would say is that at school, when I was at school, there was a map on the wall, and we used to do history. In the history, this was Britain. That was the size of Britain on the map, and that was the size of Africa. And throughout my whole year, from first year to fifth year,
You thought that's how it really was?
Britain was that big,
Right.
and Africa was that big.
Yeah.
And that was normal.
Yeah, that's right. That's the world. That was the way
And
it was.
that's the way it was designed for all those years.
Yeah, it still is. It's still going now.
You know, and so you can't change. There's certain things that you can't change. You ain't going to change.
Yeah.
Forget about. You know, you're learning about this, you're learning about that. You have to take responsibility.
Yeah.
I, believe it or not, have a degree. I have a BA's honours degree in social work, mental health. Nobody gave me that. Nobody made me go to university. Nobody said, "Oh, Donald, why don't you go to university?" I made that choice. I said, I'm going to go to university and get a degree and get a BA honours degree.
Got your lunch then? Just a joke?
And like I said, I only know quite a lot about Black history through
your family,
my
yeah.
granddad.
Yeah.
Like, my granddad's from Africa, and a lot of the things I've learned is through him. So obviously, people who don't have Black people in the family, that how are they supposed to learn?
Exactly. So awareness is a huge word.
It is. But there's hope.
There's hope.
There's hope.
All right, thank you guys. That was fabulous. Thanks very much for coming.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.